Guten Salat.
Flash! Flash, I love you! But we only have 14 hours to save the Earth!
Hey, reflection, I really like you. Don't want your friends. Hey, man, I think it's pretty funny given who I am. Nothing can stop me. I'm living in a single-player game. Oh, you can't stop me. You can't stop me. It's a party for one.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to A Rational Transaction, the internet's hottest flashcast. And maybe the only one that's currently on the air right now. I'm your host, Caleb Dirksen, and I'm joined by the lovely, just out of bed, Alexander Peters. Say hello, Alexander.
Hello, I am just out of bed. Can you tell just by my voice? Yeah, I'm Alexander Peters. So good to see all of you again here in
I
this
love
space where we appreciate.
I feel like I'm just sliding
Art.
around in your mouth right now.
Yeah, it's about an octave lower than it usually is. Which, well, we'll see how that goes in the final process there. I was just gonna ask, did you watch this yesterday or the day before? How recent was your watch?
My watch was probably about 24 hours ago at this point, so it's a little cold in the head. I gotta say, this is my third watch, so third in a row.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I don't want to sound too negative, but no, this isn't negative. This is realism. The dust is starting to settle a little bit. I'm starting to see the high plains are shifting into high mountains and low valleys. You know, the movie's starting to truly reveal itself to me. I'm out of the honeymoon phase, and the scales are coming off of my eyes.
3 watches in and we're out of the honeymoon phase. This, we'll see. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, my watch is about 24 hours off as well. I watched it yesterday morning. First thing I did when I woke up in the morning with my wife. She's been homesick for the past couple of days, and I thought, you know what would help? Is some Flash Gordon. He'll not only save the universe, but he'll save your voice as well. Wasn't really the case. She her rating at the end of this movie was that she thought it deserved a 1 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
very
I think I
very
might have
strong
to cancel
opinions.
your
And I
wife.
thought and I asked her, I'm like, do you think? Yeah, I said to her, do you think it's like maybe it's like Buckley's? It tasted bad, but it healed you good. And she said, no, I did not enjoy it.
That's okay. Well, like break it down for me. What's the root of this? What's the root of this one?
I think the root of this one is the fact that I made her sit down and watch it with me when she very much didn't want to.
So the one is just a reflection of your current situation and not the movie.
Yeah, I believe so. That's what I'm choosing to. That's what I need to believe.
For your own sanity. Fuck,
Yeah,
that's
because we
funny.
live in such a small place, so if one person's using the TV, it's kind of inevitable that the other person will as well. At this point, I've been watching it while we're on different shifts and stuff, but this time we were together because
before you were hiding it from her shamefully.
Yeah, well, I promised her. I said, I promise this isn't going to affect you in any way, shape, or form. And 3 watches in, I broke that promise, Caleb.
Oh wow! I think, yeah, man. It's funny because my wife kind of hates it, which breaks my heart a little bit. But you know, I think that yeah. Well, we don't have to get into it. Yeah, I think what struck me about this movie is that, you know, we've talked a little bit about the runtime before. I think this is the point where we need to just really put our heads down, come together, and start figuring out the perfect flash cut. I think we start cutting scenes, maybe even going into the deleted scenes and adding some footage. You know, I read somewhere yesterday about how there's actually supposed to be like some kind of strange dream sequence where Dale was supposed to be like dressed up as a spider or something, and they just cut all of it because it literally had nothing to do with the plot.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's so strange.
But I mean,
yeah.
Alexander, what would you
I wonder
cut?
what that would have. I would cut probably 5 minutes of that Hawkman fight with the ship that they're trying to take in order to like fly into the city. At the end of the movie, I feel like that drags on for significantly longer than it needs to. At least the battle outside of the ship, because once they get inside the ship, it starts to pick up again. Because
It's almost painful how, I mean, I'm a friend of the Hawkman. I just find like there's so much in that battle. You're just kind of like, you know, it's the climax of the film. You're ready for the good guys to finally win. And they just keep flying in circles.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, the Hawkmen are great. And I know I'm supposed to feel something when, what's his name? Not Bison. The Hawkman who gets shot and is like the reason Flash flies down to the ship. He says, "This person's down."
His name is literally like Birdo or something. That's Beardo's down or something like that. Birdo's down.
Yeah. And so he flies down to save him, and I'm like, oh, that's supposed to be the reason for him to go down. That's supposed to be like super dramatic and stuff. But like, yeah, his name is, I think, maybe said once before that, so you don't even really have a frame of reference for who this is.
Yeah, I think that, and I would say we could probably, and I'm going to sound like a sexist, but we could just start cutting half of all Dale scenes. Just the fight, her fighting, her even talking with the, I don't know, the slave, we could probably cut it. Like, just, I don't know. I just cut to her, like, on another planet, and I think I'd be happier.
Honestly, if you cut her scene, her and Aura's scene, she would end the movie more likable than she actually is. Because they only have one scene together, and the entire time, she's just shitting on Aura, who's crying in front of her, who's just been tortured. And it's just, it makes Dale even more unlikable than she already is.
And I feel like I'm just like a monkey playing the same old song on the keyboard at this point, but the scene where Dale tells Aura that she has to marry Ming because that's the only way Ming will keep Flash and Zarkov and Baron alive, when he's clearly lying, but Aura says he's lying, but she says, no, I have to keep my word. But it's like, he's never going to keep his word because he never has.
Yeah.
And you're being psychotic by standing by him. Like, what do you hope to gain unless she's being the only explanation I have is she's being willfully like obtuse because she thinks Aura is against her. So she says, yes, I will always be loyal to your father, even though, because she thinks Aura is a spy. That's my only explanation.
Even if that is the case, it's which actually would make for fairly good tension there. It isn't really there isn't really enough of it to make it feel like that's what's going on there, you know? Mm-hmm. Man, we're bringing a really different energy to this show, this episode, than previous episode.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's pull it. Let's pull the stick back the other way. The mountains are coming up sharp for me, and the first thing I think of is the sets are so beautiful. The miniatures are so. I love the miniatures in this movie. I love the Earth. I love the little spaceship. I love all that crap. Also, I've got a question to ask you, Alexander, because I was reading trivia on IMDb about alternate cuts to this movie. Let me ask you this. When, in the start of the movie, when there's a red cloud and it zaps the pilot, what do you see outside the plane?
I see a zoom in of Ming and a red flash.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I have a different cut because I just see a red cloud. And
really?
Apparently in some of the cuts,
there's no like.
Some of the cuts don't have the Ming face in the red cloud, and some of them do.
Really?
Because I always thought it was so weird that they zoom in on like this weird blob. I'm like, we know that the outside is scary, but like, why would you focus in on it? But that's like a legitimate alternate cut.
Huh. So which is considered the final cut?
You know, yeah. We have to make our own final cut. I think we need to make our Flash Gordon fan edit, definitive fan edit.
I think that would it's very ambitious of you, and I would definitely want to check that out, because there's definitely a lot of chaff to be sifted out of here. I started keeping track of all the people that died this time around, but I kind of dropped it halfway. I dropped it past the initiate from the Tree Men on Aboria. I had stopped keeping track, but up to that point, there had been only 7 people. But then
Really?
then a lot of only 7 people up to that point. But then after that, I had forgotten, and that's when the Hawkmen fight all those soldiers, and Dale kills a couple people and all that stuff. So
Can you
there's
give
still
me
some
a
more to
kill
be counted.
count? Can you break it? Do you have the names?
Yeah, I do. Out of from that first half of the movie, so the 2 pilots are certainly dead, right? That's kind of that you never see them again. Then Zarkov's assistant Munson just straight up gets demolished by that plane. Can we talk for a second? Zarkov pulls the gun on Munson, but he never actually pulls the trigger. He never it's just like it's a bluff. And I'm like he lets him
Zarkov
actually
won't do it.
leave
He
the
won't
building.
pay that price.
He's like, yeah, which was fascinating to me. I never really connected those dots until now. I'm like, yeah, he pulled the gun, but he did let him leave and was excited when he came back, which is it was interesting.
Well, you know what they say? Built it to send in friendship.
Yeah. Lizard Man number 1 died. When they're walking into the city, and I was talking to Janessa and answering a question, so I didn't catch his name this time, but I was going to. I'll have to next time. The prince that shouts "Death to Ming."
I have a bit about this if you want to hear it.
Yes,
Are you
please.
ready? Can I derail your kill count?
Of course,
Because
of course.
I was so enamored by this actor and this performance, and I know we've talked about him before. His name is Prince Thune.
Prince
And
Thune.
I said, Prince Thune, this guy is so iconic. His loyalty is so unbound. So there's got to be more to him. He's actually a staple from the comics. First appearance, Flash Gordon, 1934.
Really?
Prince Thune is a lion man. So I guess in this one they just made him a normal man. But apparently in the comics he's like a lion humanoid. And he's the son of another sort of ruler of Mongo. But what's really interesting is in the comic, he's like a big Flash ally. So he's kind of like always helping Flash out. They've got like a bunch of, spaceships in the comic and artillery and stuff. So the Lion Men regularly fight alongside Flash. So, I knew he's iconic, and obviously it makes sense that he would give his life, or he would try and kill Ming at his dying breath. He's a real hero, and he deserves a spin-off.
I agree. I want to see more about Prince Thune, and his costume was super duper cool as well. So I'd like to see more of that world and where all that comes from. And the only other 2 I had was one was a question mark because I wasn't certain if she died, but I had to assume that Ming had her executed. And that was the slave that Dale convinced to drink her juice.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, you're like you are leading this woman to her death by convincing her to live a little, huh? I was like, I'm just gonna write her down just in case, because I feel like I don't see her again the rest of the show, and also she's probably never going to live again. And the final one I had written down was the Tree Man initiate who wants to take the rite of passage, the test of manhood.
They call it a test of manhood, but it seems more like a test of total random chance.
I agree, but it is a neat concept and a very cool set. So I don't ask too many questions about that particular scene because it's one of my highs of the movie. So I don't want to give it too much scrutiny just yet, but I'll probably get there at some point. I did want to talk about Voltan's daughter for a minute, because this time when I was watching, because we had talked about her last time, I was watching to see anything I could get. And she's actually surrounded by hawkmen and not Imperial soldiers. So, like, which makes me think that she's actually not being held captive or anything like that. It makes me think that maybe they had more for her to do, but it just might have wound up getting cut from the movie. Either that, or she was just a tool for the writer to have Voltan be under Ming's wing for that scene. Because, yeah, she was, unless there are Hawkmen who are living with Ming in the Citadel, it seemed like, at least to me this time around, that she was just kind of there.
It does seem entirely like arbitrary, because near the end of the movie, when Ming's gunship shows up at the Hawkman capital, they immediately capitulate and flee. So I don't know why Ming needs a hostage to hold power over Voltan when his single gunship can obliterate his capital city. Like, why? I don't know why you need to deal with. I guess maybe Ming's also a piece of shit, so he probably wants to be spread a little psychological terror.
Also, Janessa pointed something out to me to this watch that I had never even really noticed how strange it was. But when Zarkov is lying on that table and his mind is being reset, we see him with his wife, and we see his wife's death. Do you remember? Can you tell me how his wife dies?
I am so confused by that, because they're like playing around the pool, but then she's in the pool and then she's like floating in the pool, and then she's like dead, like a drowning in their backyard. Yeah. All of like
Zarkov and all of their friends pick her up and throw her in the pool, and she doesn't come out of the water. But the thing is, it's not that she just like hit her head or anything. She's flailing in the pool for a while, with lots of time for anyone to jump in and save her, but the camera stays on her as she's flailing, and then all of a sudden it's hard cuts to her face down in the water, and they're covering her with a blanket next to the pool. And Janessa says, any one of them could have chosen to jump in and save her at any time, but they did not.
I was so confused about that too, because I thought my interpretation of it was always I thought it must be like a jump cut, like this is their pool that they love, but then she died in it. But that makes no sense too, because like when they show her dead, she's not like, she doesn't hit her head or anything. So like, are they implying that she went for like a swim and then just had a heart attack and drowned?
Yeah.
But I think either explanation makes no sense.
That's true enough.
Which leads me to believe that maybe Zarkov. No, I can't even say it. I won't even say it. It's too horrible to think of.
We can't go down that road. It's too dark. Who was your favorite actor this time around, Caleb?
Oh man, so first time I said Zarkov, and the second time I think I said Ming, right? Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's such a good question. I gotta be careful. I gotta start rationing them. We're gonna start running out of good actors.
One day you're gonna get to Dale just because it's the last one left.
No, my hand will be forced. I like the Hawkman's second in command. I don't even know his name.
Ooh,
the handsome George Clooney looking type.
Yeah,
and he says to Brian Blessed, who is Voltan, he says, with all due respect, Voltan, the man who rid us of Clytus should not be so easily abandoned.
Yeah, he's a good character. He's got a lot of charisma. I really like the scene where he's just kind of laughing and watching the Hawkmen do their thing at the party back at their home place, whose name I can't remember at the moment. And he sees other Hawkmen flying in, Zarkov and Dale, and he just says, let's Voltan know that prisoners have arrived. It's just, for some reason, it's just like, he just seems like a chill guy to be around, you know?
Like a stoic commander. Who would you pick as your favorite actor?
Do you know who FICO is?
I don't. And I'm embarrassed.
No, don't be. He only has 2 scenes, but those scenes continue to stand out to me every time I watch this movie. or 3 scenes, I guess. But he's the tree man playing the instrument while Baron is throwing his little tantrum about Aura bringing Flash in, and he gets sent down to the cage to convince Flash to come up and go into the temple. And it's just the actor's delivery on his lines and those always feel very deliberate. He's going for a certain archetype, and I really like what he does with that character.
Kind of a quintessential rogue.
Yeah, exactly. He feels like a rogue, and he feels like the roguest rogue I've ever seen. And I really like what he does. Who's your least favorite character?
Oh, man.
Actor, I should say.
The well is so deep. There's too many. There's a lot. I think that's why I keep saying there's so much. There's some chaff to be cut. I can't pick on Dale anymore. I can't.
I can. I haven't picked her yet. I'm picking Dale this time around. That's me.
Oh boy. I don't want to pick the princess because it's like there's so few female characters in this movie. I can't start cutting them off. Oh boy. Bad actors. I'm gonna say all the Imperial guards, who I know they're wearing like huge costumes, so they can't move that much.
Yeah.
But the costumes often look badass, but the movements, something about it looks so goofy, so silly. Especially the guys with like the gas masks. They look like little. They look like little. I don't know, like monsters that would be in like a little kid's dream.
Like a Spy Kids Thumb a little bit.
Yeah.
I was watching that execution scene in the gas chamber, and I saw one of those soldiers you're talking about. He's fumbling around with his gun, and you can tell very much it's a nervous extra on set and not an Imperial soldier, because his hand is trying to find where do I put my hand on this gun? I'm not sure, and I'm like, I see you. I know you're nervous out of your goddamn mind.
Boy, yeah, that was your stand-in.
Yeah, I know what you're going through right now. Did you notice that Ming just likes to kind of add the word Imperial in front of things, much similar to like how Batman adds bat in front of things, like Bat Computer, land my Imperial lander, grab my Imperial cruiser, and then he just like, I noticed that this time around. I'm just like, man, we're really putting Imperial in front of everything, huh? And it was
when they fly into the when they start on the spaceship, they fly into quote unquote the Imperial vortex.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
It was something that just like stood out to me this time around. I'm like, there's a lot of Imperial here.
I've got some insight here, Alexander. I'm excited to hear what you think, because you're a much smarter film critic than me. You've probably picked this up already, but I noticed a plot thread, a character arc that I had never actually picked up on before. I had seen it, but I didn't notice it. In the beginning of the film, Flash Gordon kind of comes when Flash Gordon's plane is being disrupted by the Ming storm. He goes and tells the pilots how to fly the plane, which is kind of a douchebag move.
Yeah.
And Dale says, hey, what the hell are you doing? Stop it. And he says, I'm training to be a pilot. Then the pilots get zapped out of the plane. He takes position. She says, do you know how to land? He says, I don't know. I haven't learned that part yet, implying that he does not, in fact, know how to land.
Mm-hmm.
So this man cannot really fly. Cut to, later in the movie, Aurelian is teaching him, and not Aurelian, that's Dune.
Aura,
Hail Ming. Aura is teaching Flash how to fly the little cruiser. And he's like dancing around with it, and then they go down to Aboria, and he's like the main pilot, and she's like, oh, I'm adjusting the flaps for you. And I'm like, oh, that's like, I guess Flash, she's kind of teaching Flash how to fly the plane. And then the movie ends with the Imperial war rocket Ajax coming towards the capital city and all the guns are firing from the city, and Flash is in the cockpit flying the plane, or flying the war rocket, and Voltan says, Flash, get out, we gotta go, it'll fly itself, and Flash says, I'm taking too much fire. We're taking too much fire, the rocket's never gonna make it. I gotta send it through the lightning field. I gotta fly the rocket. And I realized that my little peanut brain had never put together that Flash is supposed to be a pilot the entire time. And over the course of the movie, he actually learned to fly good enough to crash a spaceship into a tower.
I'll tell you how peanut my brain has been this entire time, because until you just mentioned that, no, I hadn't picked it, but until you specifically said the fire's too heavy, I, at this point, have been thinking, that's such a stupid line, because I thought he was referencing the fire inside the ship being too heavy.
Oh, the weight
of the fire burning the ship. But no, he's referencing the blaster fire they're taking from outside. That makes a lot more sense. So I think you give me more credit than I deserve.
Okay, that's good to know.
But that, yeah, that's really cool. No, I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah, with that, I sort of cut it short, but I do have to run to this silly little work meeting. Before we go, though, Alexander, what would you rate this movie after your third watch?
After my third watch, I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. I can't remember what my last one was, but I think it was still in the 80s. I'm going to rate this movie because I do enjoy the highs, but the lows are making those highs fewer and far between. I'd say, let's give it a 75, a crisp 75.
Wow, we are dipping. I think I would give it a very crispy 83.
83?
A hopeful 83.
A hopeful 83. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alexander, for joining me on this auspicious morning.
And thank you for staying up so late for me.
Oh, it's not. I didn't stay up for you. I got a work call I got to get on.
Oh, okay. Well, I take it back then. Bit of housekeeping. Thank you so much to Dwy for the use of our theme song, Party for One. It is a great song. Y'all should check it out. If you get the chance, there will be a link in the podcast description below. And thank you all. And we will catch you next time. Bye.
Hell yeah. Alexander, would you say Party for One is a rational transaction?
I would say that, my friend, is a rational transaction.
Hey man.